Now to TikTok at the Supreme Court. The justices will hear oral arguments today regarding the law that would effectively shut down the video sharing app in the U.S. And now President-elect Trump is weighing in. Dan Abrams standing by to break down the arguments. First, senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is at the court. Good morning, Selena.
TikTok will make its last stand. The app is set to be banned just days from now, so TikTok is making its final plea to stay in America. It's one of the most popular social media apps in America with an estimated 100 million users. Home to viral moments and everything from how-to tutorials.
You have to make these chopped Italian sandwiches. These
to fashion and beauty trends.
These over here are the Cyber Monday deals I'm low-key looking at.
But in just 9 days, TikTok is set to disappear from America's app stores after Congress passed a law forcing its Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell the app or face a ban. Lawmakers from both parties and the White House argue it's a serious national security risk, saying the Chinese government can force TikTok to hand over Americans' data and use the app to spread misinformation. TikTok denies those claims, saying its American operations are separate and arguing the ban violates the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So far, federal judges have sided with the government, but later today, the Supreme Court's 9 justices will hear the arguments that will determine TikTok's fate. After President-elect Donald Trump, who tried to ban TikTok during his first term, urged the Supreme Court to put the law on hold.
It's sad. It's really, really sad.
Hanging in the balance, many content creators and small businesses who make a living off of the app.
Hey there, I'm Nadia.
Like Nadia Okamoto, who has over 4 million followers.
If TikTok were to go away, we would be facing a really, really challenging situation.
Now, if the ban does go into effect, TikTok isn't just going to disappear from your phone, but new users won't be able to download it and you won't get those software updates. So eventually the app would just stop working. Now, the Supreme Court is expected to make its final decision sometime next week before that January 19th deadline. Guys?
Okay, Selena, thanks. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. So this pits national security. That's what Congress decided is paramount in putting the ban into place versus free speech. Appeals court said national security wins. Do you think the Supreme Court's going to agree?
I think so. I think it's likely because this isn't really a case about banning TikTok, right? It's about forcing a foreign government to sell it. And part of the argument here is this is not just a media entity. This is a data collection agency as well, working for the Chinese government. So that's a pretty strong national security argument. Typically, the court has been pretty deferential to Congress and to laws when it comes to national security.
And we see President-elect Trump wanted to ban it. Now he's interested in keeping it around. Yeah. So if this ban does go into effect, can the Trump administration do anything about it?
Not much. I mean, they can first try to repeal it, right? They can try to get Congress to repeal it. The problem with that is it's really a popular law. It was a bipartisan law. It would be very hard for the Trump administration to convince Congress to say, oh, you know what? That law we passed, we're gonna retract it. The biggest thing they could do is they could assure the Apples and Googles of the world, we're not going to enforce it. Don't worry. You're good for now. The question is going to be, is that enough for them to say, okay, they're telling us that they're not going to enforce it, but boy, these fines are very substantial if someone does decide that they are going to start enforcing.
Well, and one of the big questions about the app itself is the secret sauce inside of TikTok, which is the algorithm. That's the thing that makes sure you see what they want you to see, so you keep playing around inside of the app. What happens to that in all of this?
Well, and the Chinese government is basically saying the reason they don't want to sell it is they're not going to sell the algorithm. Now, you have some American buyers who are coming forward and saying, hey, that's fine. We'll take TikTok. We'll take it without the algorithm. Who knows what's going to happen with the algorithm, but the Chinese are citing that as the main reason why there's no way, no how they can sell it. We'll see if the court comes in and says you got to sell it. We'll see if they stick with it.
I got to ask another question. If the administration says they're not going to enforce it, can either Congress or some kind of private party bring some kind of action to force the administration?
It would be hard. They could try, but it would be hard. In the end, it's going to be, and that's why there'd be concerns, right, from the Googles and the Apples of the world as to, is there really safety here?
Okay. Dan Abrams, thanks very much.